Hey, what's up, guys? Music Coach Mike here. Thanks for checking out another episode of Enhance Your Workflow. Today we're going to be getting into a really cool little plugin that's for free. It's called AB Assist. I'm going to show you why it's cool and give you an example of how the input monitoring is really cool to use with it. Also, we're going to talk about grouping all of your tracks. It's going to help you just move around in Pro Tools much quicker, and then color coding them and labeling them and all that good stuff. So that way, you don't get lost if you have like hundreds of tracks and 10 different instruments or something like that. So let's get right into the session and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So what we got here is vocals, all in violet. Okay. And then we have the effects of the vocals right here. Okay. Now, what you can do is if you select all your vocal tracks and you do a Command G, it'll bring up this group window. Then you can call it vocals. And I already have a vocal group down here, so we don't really need to do that one. But here's what I didn't do. Here's our vocal effects. Let's go ahead and group them. And we can call them VX effects. Boom. Right, now check this out. Okay. Now the way this works here with the effects is we're using a send, and we've got the sends labeled in the IO, and that's how we have it all nice and neat like that. So you may want to check out the other video that covers signal flow, and that'll give you a little bit more about how the effects are being routed. So then on the next track here, we've got the guitars. And if you were to select them all and do Command G, you can make another group. Now, what you don't want to do, though, when you're making all these groups here is select your aux track. Okay, you want to make sure that you're only selecting the 4 audio tracks here, or however many audio tracks you have, So if you were to see all my grouping here, if I go ahead and push some groups, you can see that I'm muting and soloing just the vocals, right? And then I have the aux tracks just solo safed. Okay, that's the key to this whole system right here, is the solo safing on the 2 aux tracks. So the vocal effects are getting sent to the vocal effects bus, and the dry signal up here is getting sent to the vocal bus. That way I have control of them both, and they'll be summed back together later in the chain at the 2 bus. So that's the key to how this whole thing is working here. Next thing you want to check out here is the labeling. Okay, what I did is I put VX1, and then I did Command C to copy. Okay, and then I went Command right arrow, and I pasted it. Okay, and I did Command V to paste it. Then I delete it, and I put 2. Okay, then I do Command right arrow again to get to the next track. I go ahead and I pasted it, and I would delete it and put 3. And then I move to the next track, and this is how you can move through all your tracks really quickly and get them labeled and have your session nicely organized. Now, I did not want to put that ugly thing in there. Okay. When the clients see your session like this, they can understand your workflow a little bit better. There'll be parts of it that they won't understand, and that will be kind of cool because, they'll see that you know your stuff and you're routing some signal around in some really cool ways, using parallel effects and using the busing on the auxes. Okay, the next thing that's really cool is that all of these auxes here, remember, they're going to the 2 bus. So if you wanted to, you could make a group for them, but there's really no point to, because, muting all of those tracks would be just like muting the 2 bus. Okay. So that's how you set up your groups. Now getting them color coded like this is really cool. It helps you to just not get lost what you want to do is take all of the aux tracks and the buses and everything like that, and you just select all the tracks and double click on the left here where the color's at, and then you can select all the tracks colors, whatever you want it to be. Okay, and then what you want to do is with shift, you can now select all the audio that's on the tracks. Make sure your cursor is over all the tracks. You don't have to have a selection. It could just be like your cursor, just like this. You know, it doesn't even have to actually be over the aux tracks. It just has to actually be over the audio tracks, your cursor. And since we have it grouped there, the cursor goes right where we want it to go. If I were to push Command A, see, it'll select everything, and then this here switches from tracks to clips in tracks, and then I can go ahead and select it and put it to the same color that I had my tracks at. Like that. Boom. Okay? So that's how I get my audio and my track nameplate and everything all looking nice and color-coded like that. So for the guitars, we would select all the guitar tracks and then put the cursor on the tracks. Okay? And now what you can do is go back to tracks here and you color all your guitars and then do Command A and then pick the same color and go down to the next one, select them all and put a color, boom. Now put your cursor, push Command A and put a color, boom. So that tracks and clips and tracks, it'll change for you automatically if you do this in the right order. I think you might have saw me do one mistake here, and you saw me have to do an extra step by going back. And, you know, saving yourself a couple steps here may not seem like a big deal, but if you do this in every part of your workflow, you know, everything will get much quicker when you take a few minutes out of here and a few minutes out of there and a few minutes out of there. Before you know it, you've got a whole drum set mic'd up, and you've got your Pro Tools session ready to go, and you know, it took you 15-20 minutes. So there's definitely ways to enhance every part of your setup, every part of your workflow. So last thing would be the drums, right? So I select them all, go ahead and put a color, and then I want to go ahead and put my cursor there, but do Command A and put that color, and boom. Everything now has been color coded, grouped, and labeled. So lastly, what we want to do here, so we want to talk about this cool thing called the AB Assist. And I'm going to also show you importing audio right now. Okay, you can always drag in from the Finder or something like that, or from your hard drive, or you can use Pro Tools import audio window, which is Shift Command I. And now I'm just going to go ahead and pull out a file, like any audio file that I just can get to really quickly. So I search for the file up here at the top, okay, and boom, there it is, right? This is the one I want. So when I select it, it comes right in here to this little window, clips in current file, and it tells you all about it. Wave file, how long it is, the size of it, the bit depth, sample rate, and that it's a stereo file. And so if it needs conversion, it'll do it all automatically right here, boom, and come in to the clips to import window. And from there, you can choose to change the sample rate, but we're just going to leave it at what it's at and import it. Now it's going to ask us where to save it. We want to save it into the audio files folder right there for this session. And now what we're going to do is choose if we want it to go to a new track or into the clip list. And we want it to go to a new track. And what's going to end up happening is it'll go to wherever we tell it in the session. If we do selection or spot, basically selection will go to wherever the cursor is at currently. Spot will go to wherever you tell it to go. So it'll open up a window and you give it a location like this. See? If you cancel that, then we have to do it all over again. But it's just right here. Okay. And so what we'll do is we'll just actually make it a new track, and we'll have it at the session start. And boom. Now we've got it here. What we want to do now is use this as like a reference track. Okay, so now what you can do is the green one here is the, let's say, your mix number 1. Okay, you've already printed it and you checked it out in the car, and in the car you decided you didn't like something about it, so you wanted to come back in here and make some changes to your mix down here. Maybe you wanted to change the guitars and turn the vocals up a little bit or something like that. So now you're gonna listen to your new mix with the green light on. So you'll hear like this higher beeping. Oh, my bad. You'll hear the higher beeping when you have A on, because when you open this, A is what's coming into this track, okay? Whatever is happening on this actual track here, the 2 track. So you'll hear the higher tone now. This would be like your new mix. The lower tone here, this would be like your old mix. You're like, oh, okay. So to turn this button on and off, you can click it. Now, if you're in Pro Tools 10, you can just push Option K, but you're gonna have to have this track, or not Pro Tools 10, I mean earlier, anything 12.4, I believe, and earlier, and then you can Option K, and you'll see it lit up here in the transport, the green square, okay? Option K, that's the magic button, and it still works here in Pro Tools 12, but you have to have the track record enabled, okay? That's the way that works. Otherwise, you'd have to click it. So that's the one way to hear your mix, okay? Now, what you can do is go ahead and turn up the, or turn on the Nugen and push B, and now you can compare your new mix to the old mix, the new mix, or my bad, your new mix to your pro, you know, reference track, and then you've got this one for the old track to the new track, and then that's how you'll never get lost. You know, you'll always make sure you're making really, really good mixes. So this is crucial for me because sometimes I spend some time working on things that were just kind of a waste of time. If I would have referenced to something similar of where I'm trying to get my song to sound like, then I wouldn't have gone down some of those paths. So now I always reference like this. I'm always using my old mix, checking it to the new mix, and checking my new mix and my old mix to another industry standard mix that sounds great, that I love, that I've listened to on a bunch of different stereo systems and on all different kinds of earbuds and everything like that. So yeah, that's pretty much everything on the A/B assist, on groups, color coordinating your tracks, and I'm going to include the link of how you can download that Nugen Send, or the A/B assist plugin thing. It's free, and they're just giving it away, so if you don't know about it, now you do, and you can go get it. So I hope you guys loved what I did here today, and I hope you enhance your workflow, and I'll see you guys at the next one.